and thanks for joining us from the Indy Grand Prix in Sonoma. I am Maria Soreo. Now, of course, the big news of this week is that Danica Patrick has announced that she will be leaving the IndyCar Series at the end of this season to drive in NASCAR next year full-time. Now, I had a chance to catch up with Danica, who talks about what went into making her final decision. Danica, can you talk about what went into the decision-making process to leave IndyCar to go to NASCAR for you?
Yeah, I just had to really think about what was going to make me the happiest and where I wanted to race and where I thought I would have the most fun. And I've really enjoyed racing those cars. And I was just talking to one of my crew guys, and I said that, the races that I do well at in Indy cars are like all the races in NASCAR, which are you have to take care of your car at times. The car changes a lot over a run. The track changes. The line moves. You got to adapt to the way that the tires go off and things like that. And so that's kind of like our short oval races, like Loudon or Milwaukee, the flatter tracks, and like Indy. And those are the races that I tend to do better at. So I'm just excited about it and wanted, first thing was that what do I want to do? And then the second thing was, what was GoDaddy prepared to do? And, Bob has said many times that I'm his girl and he'll go anywhere with me, which is a great thing to hear as a driver. But, when it comes that time, we had to, figure out what was possible. And they're still committed to me, so that's great. I guess I'll be really honest and use something I was just talking about with some of my family and friends. But Dario talked about driving a stock car for the first time, and he got in it and thought, "What is he doing? What am I doing?" And I got in a stock car the first time and thought, "This is awesome." So that's just a difference in feelings. So perhaps that means I'll be more suited. I'm not sure. I definitely don't have the results over there that I've had in IndyCar thus far in my career. So. We'll have to see, but I definitely like driving it, and I almost feel like I'm racing go-karts again, like back with my friends, and I use the same lingo, and I guess it made me realize how kind of European IndyCar is, using different words and the way that you talk, and even there's so much more of an English and European engineering staff. So yeah, I just felt at home. I can't lie, I felt at home.
Well, there's been more than enough drama in the IndyCar Series this season, that is for sure, but none bigger than in the final laps in New Hampshire. And I had a chance to sit down with Penske team strategist John Erickson, who talks about just how important it is for everyone to be on the same page and to keep those lines of communication wide open. We're kind of talking about communicating today, and it seems like in the last few races, especially 2 weeks ago, there was sort of a lack of communication, a breakdown, if you will, between maybe what the drivers were experiencing in the car. It was too wet. Some people wanted to stay out, some people didn't. I know as a race strategist, you're sort of the next line of communication. How does that work?
Well, typically, at every race, whether we're on an oval or a road course, the IndyCar Series there's an official in every pit.
Okay.
Sometimes he may have to share, he may be between our pit and the next car, but there are officials up and down pit road.
Okay.
So if Elio or any other driver voices a concern about whether it's debris, weather, like we had in Loudon,
right,
the driver will tell us over the radio. We'll then get that official that's in the pit, and then he communicates it to the tower. Not having been in the tower,
right,
I do feel that I think at Loudon in particular, I think all those officials were getting input, and it was probably hard for a lot of them to get on the radio. There was a lot of talk, and as well, of course, they've got the pace car out there.
Right.
So Johnny's got communication with the tower to let them know what's going on, but it's a tough call,
right?
Because there were a lot of pressures to get the race in. It was our first time back at Loudon in a number of years.
Yes.
And I'm sure Brian wanted to put on a good, get to the finish. So there were some pressures, just probably self-induced, that, geez, we got to put on a good show and finish this thing. Unfortunate way to end it,
right.
But the communication it's actually pretty clean to the official, who then gets to the tower, and normally it's very easy. You get an answer straight back. In that situation we had at Loudon, I think everybody was trying to get communication, and it was the lines, the radio waves were pretty busy. but it's day in and day out. It's a good system. Yeah, it really is.
It was interesting to watch some of the different people trying to get a hold of him. Now, what happens if maybe one driver says, "Well, it's not too bad. I think we can stay out," and another driver saying, "You know what? We got to come in."
Yeah, typically in any series, you will talk to the tower. Will talk to the leader.
Okay.
Or if in the first few cars is a let's say a more experienced guy, whether it be a Dario in our series or Will. Elio's been around for years, so if there's an experienced guy in one of those first few cars, they'll try to get a communication through the team.
Okay.
And then typically, as I say, they'll talk to the leader, whoever that may be. He's got the best view, because the guys in the second and third row are getting spray or whatever it may be. So. But yeah, they can get to each driver.
I know, for instance, back in Brazil, when it was just, I don't think I've ever seen that much rain on a track before, and they sort of seemed to stay out to try to race, and it's not Formula One, obviously, so it seemed difficult for them to stay out as long as they did.
Yeah, well, there was standing water, and it's especially when you get going at speed. A lot of times you see that standing water, and it's too late. You're in it.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard.
I think it was kind of fun, maybe for a few minutes, but not too long.
Yeah, that's when you're kind of wishing the blowers and the brushes had gone out. But in that situation, there was so much rain, there was just nowhere to put it. So we had to try.
Yeah. After a situation like last week, I know all of you learn from each other. Do you all meet together with IndyCar and everybody to kind of say, okay, we need to make this better, or?
We don't know. There's no formal meeting. There's conversations that go on, obviously, and a lot of times it's an email or a phone call to IndyCar. Just have you thought about, or here's what we maybe should have done. But there's a lot of communication. But it's all pretty informal. We've worked with each other for years, and so you just pick up the phone and.
Well, it looks like sunny skies here in Sonoma, so hopefully we won't have that problem.
Exactly. We're good. We're good here.